Business English vocabulary. Examples 2. Mastering Business English by Tracey, Simon.
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Okay.
So essentially, this one's advising us to, well, value what we definitely have right now.
Rather than risking it.
Exactly. Risking it for something that might be better, but, it's uncertain. It's about security versus potential.
Right. So, imagine you've got a job. It's stable, decent pay, reliable.
Maybe not super exciting, but solid.
Solid. Then you get this offer from, say, a flashy new startup. Promises more money, stock options.
But it's totally unproven, right? Could crash and burn.
Could fold in 6 months. So applying the idiom, that steady job, that's your bird in the hand.
And the risky startup.
That's the two in the bush.
Yeah.
The safer bet is probably the stable job.
That's a perfect example. And you see this in negotiations constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say you're selling your small business. You get a decent offer. Maybe not your dream price, but it's solid, from a reputable buyer.
Okay.
Holding out, hoping for a higher bid from someone less reliable. Well, you might lose the sure thing you have.
So that bird in the hand starts looking pretty good.
It really does. Okay, next. A slippery slope.
The slippery slope. I feel like I use this one a lot.
It's common. It paints this picture, right? How one seemingly small action
It's one little thing.
can kick off this chain reaction,
And
leading to bigger negative consequences that are hard to stop.
Right. It's that first step that starts the slide downhill.
Exactly. Think about maybe a store making a tiny exception to its return policy for one customer. Seems nice, right? Good service.
Sure, initially, but then here comes the slope, right?
Precisely. Other customers hear about it, they start demanding the same exception.
And
Suddenly the policy is meaningless, and the store is maybe losing money on returns. That first small step put them on that slope.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's another example?
Well, maybe a company decides to cut a small corner on safety rules, just in one area, to save a bit of cash.
No.
If nobody notices, it could kind of create this culture where, well, maybe other rules get ignored too.
And that could lead to something really bad.
Exactly. A serious accident.
Yeah.
That first tiny compromise started them down a really slippery slope.
Right, let's tackle a stitch in time saves 9. I like this one. It feels practical.
It is very practical. It's all about being proactive, addressing issues early.
Deal with the small stuff now.
Right. By taking that early action, fixing a minor thing, you stop it from snowballing into something much bigger, much costlier later on.
Saving time and effort in the long run.
Totally. So imagine a marketing team, they launch a new online ad campaign.
Okay.
And they spot a few typos in the early ads. Minor stuff, maybe?
Easy to ignore, perhaps.
Could be. But if they do ignore it, thinking, it's fine, it could actually hurt the brand's credibility, right? Make the whole campaign look sloppy.
But if they fix it immediately...
That's the stitch in time. They correct the typos right away, and they save themselves from maybe negative comments, a less effective campaign. Those are the 9 problems avoided.
Got it. Makes sense. What about another scenario?
How about team management? A manager notices, a small disagreement brewing between 2 team members.
Just starting to simmer.
Yeah. If they step in early, maybe just have a quick chat, they can probably sort it out.
Before it becomes a huge drama.
Exactly. Before it disrupts the whole team, hits productivity, morale. That early intervention, the stitch in time, saves everyone from much bigger headaches later.
Okay, good one. Next up, a taste of your own medicine. This feels pointed.
It can be, yeah. It's pretty straightforward, though. We all kind of recognize the situation.
For sure.
It just refers to someone experiencing the same negative treatment that they've dished out to others.
Getting back what you gave out.
Basically, yes. Experiencing the consequences of your own actions firsthand.
So, a company releases a really buggy piece of software. Super frustrating for users.
Causing lots of problems.
Then, that same company adopts some new internal software from another vendor, and it's equally flawed.
So they experience the same frustration they caused.
Exactly. They're definitely getting a taste of their own medicine there.
Perfect example. Or think about a manager, one who's always putting insane deadlines, tons of pressure on their team.
The micromanaging type, maybe?
Could be. Then suddenly their boss starts putting them under the exact same kind of intense pressure and unrealistic deadlines.
Ouch. So they see how it feels.
They get a taste of their own medicine. It might be unpleasant, but maybe a powerful lesson.
Yeah, perhaps. Okay, now let's look at above board. We mentioned the card game origin.
Right, and that visual is key, isn't it? Keeping everything out in the open on the table.
So it means being honest.
Honest, open, transparent. Conducting your business without hidden agendas, no deceit, acting with integrity.
Okay, so an example might be a construction company.
Yeah.
If they give really detailed, accurate cost estimates, no hidden fees, no surprises later on, everything's laid out.
That's operating above board, total transparency.
What's another one?
Maybe negotiating a partnership. If both sides openly share all the important financial details, their intentions.
No secrets in the contracts.
Right. No hidden clauses. Everything is clear and agreed upon. That's conducting business above board. It builds trust,
Definitely builds trust. Makes for better relationships long term.
For sure. Moving on, we have above the fold. Again, an interesting origin.
Newspaper thing, right?
Exactly. The top half of the front page, visible when the paper was folded. Prime real estate.
For the biggest headlines, the most important news, to grab you.
To grab your attention, yeah. And now, in the digital age.
It's what you see on the screen without scrolling.
Precisely. The part of a website or web page visible immediately. Your first impression online.
So, for an online store.
You'd want your big promotions or like the Shop Now button right there above the fold.
To catch people's eyes right away.
Yeah.
Drive sales.
Absolutely crucial.
Okay, and another example. Maybe in a presentation.
Yeah, good one. In a slide deck, making sure your main point, the key message, or the solution you're proposing
is right there on the first few slides.
Exactly. Before the audience has to click through or digest lots of details, keep the vital stuff above the fold.
Makes sense. Keep it visible. Okay, next. Ace in the hole. Sounds intriguing.
It does. It's that secret advantage, right? That hidden resource you've tucked away.
Something up your sleeve.
Kind of like that, yeah. Especially useful when things get tough or you're in a competitive spot. It's that strategic asset you keep quiet about.
Until the perfect moment.
Until the most opportune moment to play it for maximum impact. It's your unexpected edge.
Okay, like what?
Well, imagine a drug company. They've secretly been developing this, amazing new drug. Breakthrough potential.
But nobody knows about it yet.
Nope. They're keeping it under wraps, but they know it could totally change the market. That drug is their ace in the hole.
Something they can reveal strategically to blow away the competition.
Exactly. Or in a tense negotiation, maybe one side has some killer market research or a key endorsement they haven't mentioned yet.
They're holding it back.
Holding on to that valuable piece of information, waiting for just the right time to use it as leverage. That's their ace in the hole.
Got it. A hidden advantage. Okay, let's move to actions speak louder than words. This feels fundamental.
Oh, it really is. Super fundamental for building trust, credibility. In business and life, everywhere, really.
Totally. It just means, well, what you do matters more than what you say.
Your behavior, your deeds. They're way more convincing than just promises or statements. They carry the real weight.
Right. So a company might talk a big game about, say, amazing customer service.
We go the extra mile. Our customers are number one.
But if you actually call them and the support is slow, unhelpful.
Then their actions aren't backing up their words, are they?
Not at all. They're actually sending the opposite message.
Precisely. But on the flip side, think about a leader during a tough time for the company. Lots of change, uncertainty.
Okay.
If they don't just say, I support you, but they actively, visibly work to help employees communicate clearly, support them.
They're showing it.
Their actions, that visible commitment, that speaks volumes, much louder than any speech could.
Yeah, that really lands. Okay, now for add fuel to the fire. This sounds problematic.
It usually is, yeah. Unfortunately, it's easy to do if you're not careful.
So what does it mean exactly?
It means doing or saying something that just makes a bad situation worse. Intensifies conflict, makes things more heated, harder to fix.
Like pouring gasoline on it.
Exactly like that. Imagine, two departments in a company are already clashing over a project. Tensions are high.
Okay, not good.
Then a senior manager jumps in, maybe without knowing the whole story, and publicly blames one side and praises the other.
Oof. That's probably not going to help.
Probably not. They're likely adding fuel to that fire, making the conflict worse, damaging relationships.
Right. Okay, another example.
Think about a company facing a social media storm. They messed up, People are angry online.
A PR crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If their first response is really defensive or tries to downplay the whole thing.
Wasn't that bad? You're overreacting.
Exactly. That's not calming things down. That's adding fuel to the fire, likely making the backlash even bigger.
Got it. Don't make a bad situation worse.
Yeah.
Okay, nearly there. All hands on deck.
This one creates a sense of urgency, doesn't it? And teamwork.
Yeah, like everyone needs to pitch in.
That's it, exactly. It signals a situation where you need everyone's help, all skills, all effort.
To deal with something critical.
Right. Tackle a big task, overcome a major challenge, hit a super important deadline. It's a call for everybody to jump in, maximum effort.
Okay, like in an emergency.
Yeah, perfect example. A hospital facing a sudden, huge influx of patients, maybe a public health crisis.
They meet everyone.
They'd need all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Doctors, nurses, admins, staff, maybe even volunteers. Everyone contributing to handle the load.
Makes sense. And in business.
Well, maybe a small business is facing like a really serious financial crisis. Could go under.
Dire straits.
The owner might call for all hands on deck, asking every single employee to brainstorm cost savings, new sales ideas, efficiency improvements, anything to help the company pull through.
Everyone pulling together.
Okay.
And finally, all in a day's work.
This one kind of brings things back down to earth, maybe.
How so?
It describes something, a task or event that's just considered normal, routine, part of the job.
Even if it's difficult.
Yeah, even if it's challenging or demanding, it suggests it's just what's expected in that role, nothing extraordinary.
Okay. So, like for a detective, solving a tough case.
Or maybe a forensic accountant uncovering some complex financial fraud. It takes skill. It's intricate.
But for them.
It might just be all in a day's work. It's the kind of challenge they deal with regularly.
Right. Or an emergency dispatcher.
Handling a really stressful, urgent 911 call, getting critical info, sending help.
Super high pressure.
Definitely. Sure. But for them, it's likely considered all in a day's work. It's just a core part of what they do every day.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow.